Oh.
I have one too.
Yes.
Yes. a
And when
tuxedo.
I don't know, they have this sense that when you are busy doing something important, they want all the attention.
Yes, and it's also
Ah.
it's also nighttime, so they like to stay close to you.
Right.
Okay, so we are now live streaming on the YouTube. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Time is 7:01 p.m. It's Wednesday, June 9th, and this is the second public meeting for the Westchester County Rent Guidelines Board for 2021. I will start this evening's meeting the same way I start all these meetings on Zoom. In response to the governor's directive to take every effort to keep New Yorkers safe and mitigate the spread of COVID-19, and pursuant to Executive Order 202-1 and its updates, Westchester County Rent Guidelines Board will be conducting public hearings to set guideline rates of rent adjustment for housing accommodations within its jurisdiction, subject to the Emergency Tenant Protection Act, for leases commencing between October 1st, 2021 and September 30th, 2022. Via teleconference. Instructions for members of the public to simultaneously view or listen to the meetings have been posted to HCR's website for the Office of Rent Administration. Under the public hearing section prior to the meetings, hearings will also be later transcribed and the public will have the ability to view the transcripts. So with that being said, Elsa, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening. Welcome, everybody. I'm just happy to see everybody sound and safe. And my name is Elsa Rubin, Chair of the Westchester Rent Guidelines Board. I welcome you to this virtual meeting. Tonight, we will receive a presentation of the DHCR Research and Analyst Unit, which will help us to determine guidelines rates of rent adjustments for leases commencing or being renewed between October 1st, 2021 and September 30th, 2022. I will now take roll call. Please respond if you are present. Berlin Aqua, public member.
Here.
Lamont Badro is going to be a little late, I heard. Eddie Mae Barnes, public member.
Present.
Elliot Cherson, owner representative. Elliot, is he?
I'm here.
Great, thank you. Kenneth Finger, owner representative.
I am here also.
Sylvia Hammer, new tenant representative, welcome.
Thank you. I'm here.
Evelyn Santiago, public member.
Present.
Tamara Stewart, tenant representative.
Present.
And Elsa Rubin, present. Let the record show that we have a quorum. And now I will ask Peter if he has any announcements or you want to start introducing the presentation.
The only announcement I have, Chair, is that the second public hearing will be taking place on Monday, June 21st. And individuals who wish to speak at that meeting have until June 20th, 2021 to submit an email to Westchester County RGB at nyshcr.org. The board is also accepting written comments as well. So that would be my only announcement for this evening. If, I'll turn it back to you if you want to go ahead and introduce the individuals from the research unit.
Yes, I will introduce Guy Alba. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
And Sal Hewitt.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi. And Michael, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your last name.
Lanjuli.
Lanjuli. Thank you.
Lanjuli, yes.
So
Hi.
thank you for coming and enlightening us because we got a lot of material here, and I was going through everything and asking questions, some of them silly questions, but I'm sure you will expand on everything that we received. So, Guy, you want to go ahead?
So good evening, everyone, and welcome to Lamont. I see he's coming in, so have the opportunity to hear us. Again, another year. It was tough. We tried getting as many owners to submit surveys and make sure that you have a great survey to look at and a global data to look at. Just want to thank everyone that worked on it: Sal Howie and Michael and Julie and Jeff Horowitz. I don't know if Jeff is here. I don't see him here. Thank you so much. Really worked day and night, and I mean day and night, because as you know, we work from home, and whether it is just contacting the owners and making sure that we are there to guide them so they will be able to submit things on time. I'm going to ask Sal to present you with the data, but before I do so, I hope we are able to address Elsa's question, which was a little bit of a misunderstanding this email this afternoon. If you still have questions, Sal, myself, Mike would be able to answer those questions. It is a percentage, of course, and we can go over it. But right now, let's start with the first tables and the extras and the tabulations, and Sal will provide you with that. Sal Howie, please.
Thank you. I went back to my previous year's reports, and I had notes there that, in fact, that is a percentage. Thank you. Go ahead, Sal.
Okay, everyone. So I guess I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go through, I guess, the extras. So I'm going to share the screen so you can see which tables we're looking at. But if you could pull up your extras, which let me share my screen. Okay. I'm guessing everyone can see the table now. Westchester M&O schedules 2021.
No, I didn't get that.
Okay, so this is basically the breakdown of the surveys or letters that we sent out. We do actually still mail out letters to all the owners, as well as send emails out to the email addresses on file. And we do get some return, some that change of ownership, and we do go ahead and forward those emails or those letters to the new owners. So out of a total of 1,537 buildings, we tabulated 403. There are some that are no heat, no hot water, some that are excluded for those various reasons. And based upon the number of units that are currently registered, the survey entails 12,253 units out of the 25,639 units that are currently registered. And next to it, you can see the 2020 numbers. Does anybody have any questions regarding this particular page?
Hi, Sal.
Okay. Yes.
Relative to previous years, how do the number of responses rate for last year, for the COVID year, relative to previous years?
Sure. So right next to it is the 2020 numbers. So 2020 we did 366. So we had 366 buildings tabulated. And if you go to the bottom, you could see we had approximately 12,000 units tabulated, 11,976, and that was 44% of the number of units registered. So we're always around that same area. So we may be a little bit lower than pre-COVID times, but we're still around the same kind of breakdown for the units that we capture.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to move to the next table here. So this next table shows the units that are registered with HCR as a breakdown of the units that are registered and how they are registered. Again, the registration is ongoing, so you may see that negative 10%, 0.66 for rent stabilized units. But that number does go up throughout the year because owners are registering ongoing and the registration process is ongoing. So you could expect to see at least another, based on previous years, another 1,000 to 1,500 units that will be registered still.
I have a question, Sal.
Sure.
The high rent vacancy, I thought that ended.
Yeah, we noticed that too. We're not sure why some apartments are still being registered high rent vacancy. They could be late registrations by some of the owners, so possibly, or they skipped or missed their registration. So say if a new owner comes on and that previous owner didn't register the apartments or didn't have registration data, then that owner would have to register the apartment as the current owner. So that's what we're guessing, but we're currently going to be looking into why that's still an option to be able to rent for high rent vacancy.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Real quick question. Just want to make sure I'm clear. This covers the period through December 31st, 2020, correct?
Until December 31st.
What?
Until December 31st.
Yeah, through December 31st, and
Right.
nothing's new. Like, okay, but vacancies. Okay, just
Well, actually, Elliot, it's actually the way registration works. It's supposed to be a snapshot on April 1st. So whatever that building had as of April 1st of each year, that's what the owner is supposed to register. So the registration begins on April 1st, and it goes through about July 1st is basically the timely portion, but it's ongoing, and an owner can back register for a number of years.
so I understand. For example, vacancies, it says 759. Is
Yes.
that through April 1st, 2020?
Yes, that would be what the owner registered their apartment as of what that apartment was on April 1st.
So it's
Owner could
over a year ago.
Over a year ago. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, the registration process only begins in April 1st and goes through July. So to give you 2021 numbers wouldn't be very accurate because it's still ongoing. So we really couldn't provide you with those numbers because we wouldn't be able to gauge how many people have registered and are still registering because the window's still open.
Thank you.
Sure. No other questions with this chart. I'll move to the next chart. Now these numbers are based upon the survey. So this is the breakdown of the buildings that were tabulated. So as you can see, the larger municipalities, seem to make up the majority of the population, and it's also the large majority of the population of the survey data we receive. I know Ossining is a new municipality. We did have, I believe, 3 Ossining buildings this year, so Ossining is represented in this sample as well. But the majority, as you can see, is Yonkers, Mount Vernon, and New Rochelle. And with White Plains, it comes to about 85%. Maybe a little off due to rounding. The second table below is the size of the buildings. So as you can see, based on the survey, we tabulated 43 6-unit buildings and 98 7 to 12 unit buildings and so on and so forth. So this is the breakdown of the building size that were tabulated this year. Any questions on either of these tables?
Yeah,
Okay.
actually I do. Can you go back to
Sure.
that? You have 100 and plus, 100 plus as 22 buildings. Is
Mhm.
5% the percentage of the buildings? Do we know what percentage of apartments that 5% includes?
I'm not sure exactly what percentage of which apartments of
Of
apartments.
the total number of apartments, I think you said how many?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not sure how many. I could get that number to you tomorrow or sometime this week if you want to know how many of those apartments that entails, those 22 buildings.
Yeah, I'd like to know how many total apartments there are in that. Of the
Sure,
total number.
We can do that.
Yeah, we
and
can get
we'll,
that for you.
we can do that, and we will forward that to Peter, and Peter will forward it to the board.
All right, thanks, Al. Thanks, guys.
Sure. Okay. And
Could
And
we
this
go
last-
back?
sure.
You mentioned Ossining was included here.
Yes.
Where is that? I don't see it.
Well, we don't have a breakdown of every municipality that was, the number of each units from each municipality, but I believe we have every municipality, maybe minus one, represented in the sample. But we, to show all of them would be, we don't have a breakdown of all of them right now.
Okay.
But Ossining is represented with 3 properties included in the tabulation.
Just to
Okay.
remind everyone and those people who are new to the board. So Ossining joined originally about 2 years ago. And then they amended their regulation and BTPA, and they only include now 21 units or more. So only buildings that have 21 units or more are included in the ETPA regulations for Ossining. Of those, I believe we have in Ossining 13 or 14 buildings. I think I'm leaning more toward the 13 buildings. 3 of them did submit the survey information, and that was included in the survey. So just a little background on Ossining. It's the latest municipality to join the ETPA program.
When you say buildings, Guy, do you mean separate owners?
No, I mean buildings. Some of them are owned by, one owner can own 3, 4 buildings.
Yeah, no, because I have a client who has 2 buildings there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Regarding Guy or Sal,
Yes.
would it be possible, in addition to finding the number of units in the 100 plus category, the number of units in each of the other categories as well, or is that too much?
Yeah, we can get that for you. It's just, give us a day or two to get that to you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, this final table now shows the apartment rent ranges, I guess you could call it. So based upon registration data, so based upon the apartments that were registered as of June 2nd, this is the breakdown of the rental amounts for each of those apartments. If nobody has any questions on this, I'll move on to the tabulated data. Okay. All right.
If you have the printout that we sent you, just make sure that you're looking with us. It's going to say annual income and expense based on the 403 schedules, not based on the 12 schedule. So when we go through it, just make sure you have the 403 schedules in front of you, and Sal will be focusing on that.
Okay, so this is the first table. This is the total dollar amount. So this is based upon all the surveys submissions, and this is the total dollar amount. I'll move on to the second table because we could always come back to the first table. Second table is the percent distribution of expenses. So this shows that in 2020, real estate taxes made up 19.5% of total expenses. Repairs and maintenance 16.3, and interest at 13.6. So those are the 3 largest expense categories.
I have a question. If a owner did an MCI or an IAI, is that reflected in any of these categories? The amount to expense?
Yeah, if an owner received an MCI for their property, it would be only seen in the rental income, right? Because that MCI is added to the rent, so you'd only see it on the total rental income. Same goes for the IAIs. The only way we would see that is if it's it's in the owner's rental income.
So you don't see, am I correct in saying you don't see any of the expense to the owner, such as, well, the layout of the dollars for the MCI or IAI in the table 2, is that right?
unless the owner put it in the repairs and maintenance. But an MCI, based upon the directions of this survey submission, MCIs are not supposed to be included. The cost of the MCI is not supposed to be included in the repairs and maintenance.
Okay, that was exactly my question. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. No
Pardon,
other
Sal,
questions?
is the reason that it's not supposed to be included because that's something that they can recapture or that they've recaptured for what they paid as opposed to the repairs and maintenance that are listed in this table being just part of what they have to, their expenses without any kind of recouping?
Yes, that's correct. That was the idea behind that, because they are able to
Okay.
recoup, although it's over a long period of time, they are able to recoup those expenses.
Well, on the MCI, the maximum you can recoup is 2% a year. Isn't that correct?
I'm not sure what the percentage is
Yes.
now. Maybe Peter
It
knows.
is.
Yeah, okay.
It's 2% a year on an MCI, and on the IAI, no matter how much you spend, the maximum you can recoup is a total of $15,000 over 15 years. And then at the end of 30 years, both of those increases go back off the rent, as well as any increase on the increase. That's for the
Yes.
benefit of our new member.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, I'll scroll down to table 3, which, as we said in previous years, is probably one of the most important tables that yourselves as a board should look at. So this is going to be the percent change of income and expenses. So as you can see, this is going to be the changes over this 3-year period that we ask owners to provide us data for. So total income increased by 2.8% from 18 to 19, and then decreased by 0.4%. And even more importantly, the rental income increased by 2.5% in 18 and stayed flat for the year of 19 to 20. Again, we went over this through the email, and I'm not sure if everybody read the email that went out earlier today, but the real estate income portion is a very high number, but it's a low number in totality of income. So it's, even though it's a large percentage change, it's not a large number in total. I did go and look, and one particular owner did have a plus $500,000 real estate refund. So that's pretty much what makes up that large percentage change for 2018 to 19 in real estate income. For expenses from 19 to 20, you could see fuel had the largest decrease at 13.7, then repairs and maintenance at 9.3, at a 9.3 decrease, and expenses excluding depreciation decreased by 2%, and total expenses decreased by 1.9%. So as you could see, total income did go down, but expenses did go down at a larger increase. You guys could take a look at this table and let me know if you have any questions regarding this table or if you need any type of clarification.
So can I ask a question? According to this, real estate taxes actually went down from 1819 to 1920?
No, they didn't go down. So basically from 18 to 19, real estate taxes went up 3%. Then at that level, from 19 to 20, they went up another 2.6%. So the real estate taxes didn't go down, just the percent increase went down slightly.
I see, thank you.
Correct. In fact, Sal, would you show them the number, the dollar amount, so they could just be able to picture the dollar amount as what we're speaking as people see 3,000% or a negative 72%. Might be a bit confusing, but if you actually look at the dollar amount, you'll see it's not a substantial part of the survey. And here's the dollar amount. Keep in mind that you add 3 zeros to anything that you're seeing. So 2018, we're talking about $25,000. 2019, $867,000, and $239,000 in 2020. That's where you're seeing that increase and decrease. Many of these reasons are certiorari's or appeals or maybe just reconfiguration of a real estate tax, or someone was due real estate tax refunds. I do believe, and you, anyone who, from Westchester, you can correct me. I think that the county, I'm sorry, or certain counties, they every 5 years they do some kind of a reassessment or allow for some kind of a refund. So sometimes we do see this jump, the curve, and we did so in 2019. So what you're seeing here is not in percentages, you're actually seeing the dollar figures. And that's where that 3,000 percentage looks like it's a big percentage. But if you look at the actual numbers, it's $25,000 of real estate in 2018, 867,000 in 19, and then you see that dip to 239 in 2020. If you compare that to the other numbers, such as the rental income, you understand that it's not as substantial as of course the rental income.
That's reassessment is what it is.
Yeah, a reassessment. And I'm sorry, correct me. Westchester does reassessments every 5 years, or it's just based on appeals?
It depends on, I think it depends on the community. I'm not sure.
I
But
agree, yeah, it's a community.
some
The community.
communities do it every 5 years, some don't do it. Some do it every year or two, actually.
I see. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions with table 3, I'll move on to table 4. So table 4 is the annual income versus expenses. So it shows the total income and the expenses incurred by the owners. So it basically, this is somewhat of a cash flow type table. If you look at the bottom, you can see the cash flow for the owner based on owner submissions before depreciation at 27.17%, then to 19, 26.75, then for 2020 at 27.92, and then after depreciation, you see also a slight increase as well in the percentage. So from this table, I'm going to basically flip to the cost to income ratio, which is pretty much synonymous with this table. So this is the cost to income ratio over, a number of years. So as you can see in 2020, the cost to income ratio for expenses, including interest and depreciation, and excluding interest and depreciation. So for including interest and depreciation, the number now is 79.13. And for excluding interest and depreciation, the number is now 61.28. So if you do the inverse of this number, that's basically the net operating income for owners for the property. Anybody have any questions regarding this table?
Yes, so the net operating income would be around 38%?
Yeah, so it's going to be, right around 21 for all expenses, and then including interest and depreciation, and then excluding, it's going to be 61.28. Yeah, so right around that number.
So it improved.
Yes, so the net operating income actually did improve. Yes.
Yeah.
Anytime you see the number, the percentage numbers going down, it improves.
Right.
It's inverse.
I have a
Okay.
question. I have a question.
Sure.
Would you say that the fact that it improved is due to the fact that COVID had not impacted these numbers? I mean, we're going to see the impact of COVID next year because this was April of 2020.
Yeah, we really can't say why it happened, but based upon the survey, we could see that owners spent, the expenses were down. So that's why the net operating income went up. So even though the income did decrease slightly, the expenses decreased at a higher rate. So that's why the net operating income went up. I can't predict what next year will be,
You,
But
you
well,
had, you had.
It's not just,
you
these
had-
numbers are not just as of April, it's calendar year 2020. So these numbers do capture January through December. The survey is 3 years of data,
Oh, thank
three
you. for
full years of
clarifying.
data.
Thank you
And
for
also,
Yeah.
also remember last year, if you look at the repairs went down 10%, almost 10%. So that would impact on the fact that you've had less expenses for repairs and obviously for some portion of last year for the fuel.
Less,
Right, also-
less
also keep
repairs
in
were
mind
definitely
that-
reported because of the quarantine, yeah.
Right, keep in
Right.
mind, again, for repairs and certain, I guess, certain emergencies were done, but keep in mind that it was very difficult to get anyone to come and do certain repairs during certain months of COVID. People were just not working, and I'm sure owners were struggling to find people to do work or be able to go into an apartment and fix certain things. I'm sure emergencies were done, but I guess certain things that could be left aside were left aside for future months. So so yes, COVID did hamper this, and I think we see that clearly in the dip in the numbers of expenses.
Yeah, for whatever reason, right? Okay, next.
Okay, this table now, we're looking at the vacancy table. So this is based upon the survey data. The title of it is Change in Rent for Apartments Subject to ETPA, which became vacant during the 3-year reporting period.
It's interesting to note that there are hardly any increases past the first two columns because of the HSTPA.
Yeah, on what Mr. Fingers referring to, I'll just skip to the third table, the third portion of this, or the third and the fourth. So for 1-year leases, you could see the increase for each apartment category. So if you're reading the table from left, you could see based upon what type of increases apartments have. So there are a few outliers like this number 4 over here. So 4 apartments in this $500 to $1,000 category did increase by over 70%, but the majority of the apartments did increase by only 5%.
Or
As you
less.
can see, yes, or less. As you can see, I can't highlight this because it highlights everything, but it's under 5% here is the majority of the apartments. So I'm going to go back to the first part of this table so you could see the actual changes in the rent. So to read this table, the apartment was $1,000 to $1,499. The apartment became vacant, and then it was re-rented. 99 of them were re-rented in the same range. 14 of them were re-rented in the higher $1,500 to $2,000 range. So you read this table basically from left to the top portion. So if we take the 1,500 to 1,999, there were 11 apartments that were previously rented at the $1,500 to $2,000 range, and now rented at the $2,000 to $2,499 range. And this is for tenants who chose a 1-year lease. The second table on this is going to be for 2-year leases. So as you can see, I'm sorry for scrolling back and forth, but 507 apartments were rented at a 1-year lease, and 165 were rented at a 2-year lease. And this is just vacancies based upon our survey. This isn't the total population of Westchester.
Also, look at the bottom of your chart, and you'll see also what I like to look at is the previous median rent, and the current median rent after the 1-year lease or the 2-year leases. And you can
Sure.
see what increases we've seen.
So for 1-year leases, the median rent was $1,781. The apartment became vacant and re-rented at $1,800. And if you look at table 3, it shows the percentage breakdown. So the median percentage breakdown averages out to about 0 because it's only it's below $20, I believe. So it's at 0.0%.
That's correct. It's 19.
And this is for 1-year leases. And for 2-year leases, the average increase in apartment in the rent was 1.7%.
These tables definitely display the effect of the new regulations that were enacted in 2019. Absolutely.
Okay, I believe we went through all the tables that we provided you guys. If anybody has any questions that we didn't get to, please feel free to ask. But I believe we went through all the tables. So I am going to, I guess I'll take off my screen for now. And I guess I'll hand it back to the chair, Elsa, Ms. Rubin.
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
Based upon what you've seen, and I know this is a bit of fortune telling, what do you see the trend for the current year? Can you make that determination?
Yeah, I mean, that's not something we could really determine because, you know, what we provide to you guys is basically the data that the owner submits to us. So we're providing what the owner submits. So honestly, it's on the board, in the board's hands to take that into consideration. You know, we provide data which the owners submit, and then the board has to use this data and also use their insight and use the current climate to decide, you know, what the current climate is and if there are major changes based upon last year's numbers. But we won't be able to really forecast that or give you any type of information without, you know, having numbers in front of us, which we don't have because these are numbers that the owners provide.
That's what I thought you'd say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal.
Thanks.
I wanted to ask you, is there a way to verify the data that the landlords are giving you on these surveys?
Well, there isn't a way to verify the data. You know, the owner does sign electronically now because it's done electronically. The owner does sign an electronic confidentiality as well as a statement saying that they are providing, you know, correct and accurate numbers. But we do have programs that do, you know, predict outliers and show outliers. And if we have an issue with, say, a property that has, you know, a very high expense or a very low expense compared to other properties within that same apartment range, we will either ask the owner for clarification and return the survey, which we have done, or we also will possibly exclude that if the owner does not provide any clarification on why a certain category is outside of the normal range or well beyond that normal range. So we do have programs that, you know, kind of, you know, shows you basically the standard deviation or shows you how far away from the average of other building sizes where that expense or income category should be.
Do you have figures or percentages of situations like that?
Well, in the extras portion, we do have quite a few surveys this year, which we deemed that were problematic. So right here, there was 22 surveys that we deemed problematic. So it was only 1%. It's a little higher than it was last year. But we did reach out to owners either by email or phone. Some of these owners changed managing agents and couldn't provide data from previous years, while other owners just had numbers that, you know, were not accurate, you know, based upon other data. You know, you can't have a 6-unit building have the same amount of expense or real estate expense as, you know, a 100-unit building would be an example, you know. So if we see numbers that probably aren't accurate and the owner is not responding to calls or emails, or when we're actually physically able to return the submission and ask the owner, please verify this data, or please explain why this number is, you know, larger than we believe it should be. So yeah, so it's still a low number, but there are some of those, as you can see on this table.
So as a statistician, That 1% that you just mentioned, is that within norms?
Yeah, definitely, of course.
Okay. Thank
We
you.
have, Ellie, we do have multiple checkpoints. Not to mention the survey itself actually would not allow an owner to continue unless he explains when there's a great expense or income change. We'd like to have that. We also have hundreds of other surveys that we can compare from the area of what fuel prices are. So if a building of 20 units is telling me that they spent $1 million on fuel, while another building, you know, a few blocks down with 25 units spent $300,000, we'd like to, you know, figure it out. And, you know, that's a red light for us. We usually contact the owners, the management company, trying to figure out exactly if it was maybe a typo or, you know, maybe it's something.
In those problematic,
Sorry, Elsa. I think your video and your audio just froze. I don't know if everybody else is can hear me.
I think
Yeah, I think she froze.
she froze, I think.
Okay.
She froze.
She's the chair. We don't want to lose a chair.
Yeah.
Oh, you also actually have prior years to compare it to also.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if there's an outlier,
Definitely.
all you have to do is.
Yeah, when we go through these surveys, we have 3 years lined up in front of us. So the 2021 survey analyzed years 18, 19, and 20. So we have 3 columns of expenses, 3 columns of income. And what we're looking for is an unusual jump from one year to another that'll catch our eye. And if there's no explanation given by the owner, we have the ability to return the survey and ask for an explanation. And all he has to do is respond with something reasonable, and that's fine. If he doesn't respond, then we talk it over, and based on our years of doing this, you know, we have the ability to exclude it based on it's non-comparable or it's problematic. So that's what we do. You know, we're doing this, all of us are doing this over 10 years, and we kind of get a grasp for the size of the building that we're looking at, the municipality, and the past years that we have on record. So that's kind of how we do it.
Yeah, that was my point, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And we run a lot of reports. We line up the 3 years, the percent changes. If there's something that's over 150, 200%, we flag it immediately. We pull it, we take a look at it, we try to verify it. So yeah, we go through these things. Every single dollar is looked at. The owners are sometimes shocked when we speak to them and they hear that we actually look at these things and we go through them really, really well.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Also, it may just be an error that the owner made typing. You know, we all make errors while we're typing, so it just could be an error that the owner made. So, as Mike said, we have the ability to send it back, and the owner returns it. Majority of owners are sending us accurate information, so we do believe what the owners are sending are accurate. And the small percentage that aren't, then we have the ability to exclude them and not include them in the tabulations, so they don't negatively affect, you know, or positively affect any of the number categories.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we're not the IRS. We're not doing audits. We're not going out of our way to exclude any buildings by any means. We're trying to keep actually the largest snapshot that we can. More buildings we get, the better, you know, picture that you're getting of the whole county. We're not trying to exclude surveys by no means.
Yeah, well, that was my question before I lost connection. I had to kick everybody out. Anybody else has any other questions or comments?
Well, I'd like to thank the gentlemen for their presentations. I think it was, as usual, complete, and particularly the answers to the questions.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Working very hard.
Thank you.
Yes, great job. Thank you.
Very
You're
good.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
And if we have any questions, I'm sure that we can contact you
by email.
By email.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
I just always ask that everyone, when you send an email, make sure the email includes every single member of the board and make sure that Peter is involved here as your counsel to the board. And that way everyone shares in the moment. The second we give you information, everybody gets the information.
Great.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much again.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, are we adjourned?
Uh,
Motion to adjourn?
Everybody's in a hurry today.
Long day.
Storm is
Do
coming.
do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Meeting is
Thank
adjourned.
you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, be
Bye-bye.
safe.
Good
See you
night,
soon.
everybody.
Good night.
Bye.